Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everyone. It's the Connector Corner, and I'm your girl, Tori Rose, the Connector. And I always am so excited to have the honor to bring these amazing shows to you with my beautiful co host, Miss
Kiana B.
Hey
Hey,
girl, how you be?
everybody.
How you
It's
doing?
Tuesday, our favorite day. I
It's our
am,
favorite day, and we are just so grateful to be here. We want to just take a moment and acknowledge. I think acknowledgement has been my word all week. We want to take a moment and acknowledge all of the families who have lost loved ones in Buffalo, New York. I saw this meme the other day. It said, Black people have to still get up, show up, grow up, and go. And I think that that is exactly what happens. Like tragedies happen in Black and Brown communities across the world, and we have to just shake it off and go. And so we want to take a quick second to just acknowledge, right? We understand that terrorism happens in this country against Black and Brown people all the time. So our prayers are with everyone who may be mourning, grieving, angry, frustrated, pissed the hell off. We feel you, we acknowledge you, and our prayers are with you. All right, had to do my little brother man. Now, we have an amazing show tonight. We had an amazing show last week. Self care is not selfish.
not at all.
Jump in it. We want to give a shout out to last week's guest, guys. If you missed last week's show, please be sure to go back on and watch it. We had the amazing Lakia Diggs, and she talked about hair care, which I think is Black women. It's always something that's a good topic, but men, your hair is just as
Right.
important.
Because they
So
spend as much time in the barbershop as we spend in the hair salon now. So,
I
you
don't even
know,
want to talk
going
about
to
it.
the barbershop is a new thing now. It is truly a self-care venture now for men. They've gotten into that. They get it washed and blow dried and Beijinged and I mean all kind of just everything. Get the razor
Hair
on.
installed. I have a friend right now who has a new custom install. I said, you better go ahead with your bad self, sir. It's a funny joke. I yelled at Joshua the other day. He was at the barber shop, and the barber shop is different than the hair salon, right? And I'm like, y'all don't have any respect for our time, and y'all just go in there and get lost. And I kind of felt like the roles were reversed to a certain
Yeah.
degree. So shout out to
Yeah.
every barber we know. Shout out to everyone, even in the village, who is currently grieving a loss of a well-known barber. We're not. This is not a lost show, but it just seems like it's a lot
Yeah.
happening this week,
Well, at
right?
least we got a good topic. I mean, well, I'll say good topic, but appropriate timing and
Appropriate.
fitting for, what is just going on right now. So,
Yep.
for those, make sure you guys share, hey, tap your friends, share it on your social media now. Let them know they need to get on. This is something that we're going to talk about tonight that, just watching the news today, whatever is going on, we all need healing and we need to know if we're not, like what's going on with that. So, at least
Yep.
we're bringing you the news and resources you can use.
Look at that connectivity. Come on,
Okay.
connection. I love it. I love it.
On
And so,
time.
without further ado, can we go ahead and give acknowledgement to our mentor and our friend? Let's go ahead and do that. And then go ahead and introduce our guest. I'm excited to heal and be
I know.
healed.
I need healing just from the day. Like this rest part of healing, because yeah, I'm trying. I'm drinking some water, so I don't sound like I'm as tired as I feel right
Really?
now. But
Is that water in your cup?
it
I
actually
am.
is. It's lemon and cucumber water.
That's a beautiful cup. So I have my
Mhm.
bossy girl cup.
Oh, look at
Guys,
that.
if you are tuning in, let us know that what you're drinking. This is coffee. But the crazy thing is, I'm staring it with a fork.
Well, because I saw you was talking, I was like, she just stirring it. What you probably you never watch. Never mind. Was that? Never mind.
Life is tough. You
Yeah.
know, life is tough. Let me tell y'all, this is how much we need. I need this topic tonight. Not only is the coffee and my bossy girl cup, it is no sugar in it, honey sweetened coffee.
Okay. We doing
No
something new.
spoon, no spoon, fork stir. Life has been,
So it's not on purpose. Is that what you're saying? Because
oh,
I was going to give you like, oh, okay, go ahead with your bad self. No sugar and honey.
but it is delicious and it is
Okay.
much needed for my mental health. And so,
Well, that's good. I'm glad
someone
you're
out
getting
there
it.
is
Keep that
listening
going.
or
Keep
will
that
watch
going.
this on a replay. I want you guys to understand that we get so caught up in what it's supposed to look like. And I know that we are all transitioning into a season of literally just doing it. Just do it. It don't matter if this was a butter knife or if I had to use the top of the pen to start. Like, we have to let go of what we think it looks like, right? Because there's some greatness on the other side of what it actually is. And so that has been the lesson, the God and the universe and whoever y'all want to call it. I call him Sky Daddy. He's my God. Okay. He's been trying to get me to just understand, like, sis, just do it.
Yeah.
If you would use your finger, start a stuffing, let's keep it moving, because we get caught up again in what it looks like. So anyway, without further ado,
you know, my mind, I'm like, stirred like coffee. Never mind. Eddie Murphy. I kept trying to figure out what. Never mind. That's yeah. Anyway, you know, everything for me goes to a movie or a song.
You know, I'm 25. I'm too young for that.
Oh yeah, I probably was too. But that was the day I got in trouble. It was a holiday, and I was crying, laughing so hard I was crying. They could try to figure out what was wrong with me, and I was secretly watching Eddie Murphy Raw. But anyway, moving on, because I might need some healing from that. Mm-hmm. So first, we want to give a shout out to our media partner, our mentor, Mr. Diamond K. Make sure you follow him over at Diamond K Radio and On Fire TV. So YouTube, he has On Fire TV. You also may remember On Fire Radio. Now he has On Fire TV. So make sure you follow him. And you can also catch the Connected Corner over on Radio On Fire platform as well. Ooh. So tonight, so you guys know we started our new series about self-care. Self-care is not selfish. As Tori said last week, it is healthcare. And so tonight we are going to talk about healing. Okay, everybody's talking about, I'm healing, I'm healed. So we're going to have the expert come in and talk to us about whether or not and identify if we are healing, if we're in the healing stage, or if you already healed. So we have none other than Mr. Corey. Well, he said we can call him Corey, but right now we're going to do the honors and we're going to say doctor. Okay, because props, I ain't finished mine yet. Okay, that's hard work. Okay, bro. So we're going to go ahead and put some respect on it. And we're going to say Dr. Corey J. Henderson. And he focuses on exposing, acknowledging, and healing trauma. His research work has focused on historical trauma, especially the traumatic impact of the Black experience in the United States. After completing his doctorate in public health, he started a consulting business to assist small to medium-sized businesses with design thinking to achieve their goals. He recently wrote and published his book entitled, We Ain't Healing. Y'all hear that? We Ain't Healing. I felt that already. Y'all, make sure y'all share, tell your friends, family. It's already good, okay? That uses captivating stories to point out where we are stuck in grief and how we can come out of that muck and mire.
Baby, listen.
Y'all ready?
Get your collection plate, your offerings, get tied.
Y'all ready?
Storehouse.
Okay. We Taco Tuesday and then we Healing Tuesday, you know, whatever works for you, but we're going to get into it tonight. We are excited to have none other than Mr. Corey J. Henderson, a Baltimorean from Baltimore, born and raised, Morgan State University, University of Baltimore, master's degree, doctorate degree.
Jeez.
I mean, come on, y'all. Let's put your virtual hands together, okay? Put your let's welcome
Thank you.
Corey J. Henderson. Hey.
Hey, what's up? I love y'all show. I do. I went and looked at a few episodes, and it's just one song that Tori sings. It's kind of weird, but she says it's Tuesday about 30,000 times, and then she boomeranged it, I think, on Instagram, and somehow my phone got stuck, and I was in a meeting, and it just kept saying, "It's Tuesday, my favorite day." It's Tuesday. And I was like, yeah, after that, yeah.
And so what's interesting is I didn't sing it this episode because so you can't tell me and Jesus that I don't sound good. You can't tell us, but we are realists. And the way my allergies and sinuses have been set up today. But listen, if we get healed during this show, I got you, Doc. I got you just for you.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that back because right now people calling me at 2:00. I'm like, did you just wake up? No, I've been up for hours.
That's good.
It's the air, okay? It's the air. The pollen is there.
It is.
Okay?
It truly is.
It's the trauma. So we want to just jump right in. Welcome. It's good to see you. It is good to see you. Kiana, I'm excited. I'm sorry. Let me
I
shut
know.
up so he can talk. Okay.
No,
No,
look,
no,
I
go
already
ahead.
told Kiana. I said I'm a minister, but I'm the weirdest kind because I talk about everything. I told the men in the church, y'all penis is not working, and that's why y'all wives are cheating. So let's talk about everything.
You sound like
Boom.
you sound like my pastor, Apostle Karen there. She tell them don't. What she said? Tell them don't be a knife, be a wife.
You
I
said
said,
Karen
oh,
Bethia?
yeah,
Okay. I love
yeah,
that. I love her church. Actually,
yeah,
I've been over there a few times.
yeah, yeah. She definitely keeps it real, honey.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna jump right in. Listen,
Let's go.
let's get right to the meat. Why do you believe this topic of healing? I'm healed. Hashtag healed. Why do you think this topic or the use of this topic is so popular today? Is it a trend, or are we really just kind of growing up and really doing the work to heal?
So that's why I wrote the book. I got tired of hearing people say it was healed. So I'm on international calls and not trying to drop any bombs or anything, but had the opportunity to be connected to some international organizations and have given talks around the country, helped Oregon, Portland, Oregon, with all they were dealing with. And everybody comes on there talking about healing. And they throw the word trauma around so much, it started to get on my nerves. And I had to find a way to make the statement and make it plain. The trauma is what's left over. The tragedy is what happens to you. The trauma is the emotional pain and the injury. The tragedy is what you can't control. But what happens is we argue with the tragedy and never deal with the trauma. So that's my biggest issue. It is really a trend. It's not that people are doing the work because it's a continual process. Until you die, you're never going to be healed.
Listen, guys, so you'll see us right. These are already quotable moments. We are writing this down. For anybody who's just tuning in, we are talking about trauma. We're talking about healing. Self-care is healthcare. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the Connected Corner if you have not already done so. But most of all, turn your volume up, get your pen and your pad. This right here, this is postgraduate level learning. So come on, grab your pen and your paper and jump in. So say that last part again for us, for anybody who may have missed it, because I know that people will, what you say, fight and argue with the tragedy. Come on, bring that back.
Well,
Bring it back.
the book focuses on the idea that many people are grieving. And I don't care if it's a breakup. I don't care if it's death. I don't care if you lost your job. I don't care if your mom told you about yourself and you didn't like it, or your child told you about yourself. It causes a certain level of grief because in grief, we go into shock. And shock is a natural process that prepares you for the next stage, which is the process of healing. But shock will help you and save you. Because if you don't go into shock, when you see that bear in the wilderness, you go running to it. And then when you come home scratched up, beat up, or you never make it home because you didn't have that shock factor. So shock is a good thing. If you don't have shock, it might be some psychological disorder, some mental health issues. You know, people say, I don't have no fear. We all have fear. And fear is healthy because it helps us prepare for what it is we need to do with the fear. It's not the fear, it's what you do with it. So if you see something dangerous, and my parents used to always say, you see something going on, you run the other way. And it's the idiots who stand there like, nah, yo, I want to see what's going on. And then when they shot, like, I can't believe they shot me. Well, believe it, bro. And that's the other word that I'm tired of hearing people say. I can't believe it. Like, come on. It's too much going on. We got to believe everything at this point. So I'll give you a quick example. What I mean by the tragedy versus the trauma. So my dad was in the military. This company commander came in, 80 people in the company, and they're in boot camp. The guy walks in, he looks at everybody, and he's like, I'm about to do the inspection. And you had to be dressed. You had to stand there. You had to have your bed made. Everything had to be on point. He walks over to this one guy, and he looks at him, grabs the sheets, rips it off the bed, and just starts stomping the shit out of these sheets. And as he's stomping the sheets, everybody's standing there in awe, like, I don't know what happened. They're scared. They don't know what to do, but they're in boot camp. They can't do anything. They can't say anything. So they stand at attention He yells, make your bed, make your bed. The guy runs, grabs new sheets, makes the bed. He lets them all go to chow. Well, the tragedy there is, one, life comes in and rips our sheets off. Sometimes life is the company commander. Now, you can stand there and argue with the company commander, but two things going to happen. One, you're going to get your tail whooped. Two, you're getting put out. And now for the rest of your life, you got to deal with the fact that you couldn't contain yourself or control your attitude. So here's the bad part of that, because a lot of people like, ain't nobody going to disrespect me. Well, the sad part is we don't know if he made his bed right or not, because life don't give a damn if you do all the right things. You could do everything right and stuff still happen to you. Why my mother died? Why did I lose my friend? Why did my son? Why? I lost two kids, one at 17, one at 18. And I didn't know how to deal with that. So I kept moving and working and moving and working. And one day I sat beside the river and wrote down all the things that I hadn't dealt with. I was a whore. I was lying. I was cheating on my wife. I was telling everything into myself and began to cleanse myself because I acknowledged truly who I was. And I accepted the reality for what it was. So here's the second part of the story with the company commander. Everybody tied to his decision had to wait to move forward in life. They couldn't go to breakfast or go to chow or do anything else or be released until he made a decision and moved forward by making his bed. How many people are tied to us and connected to us that we are standing there arguing with the company commander? Our kids not eating. We not getting up, taking care of them. We getting them to school late. They're dressed inappropriately. Their hair ain't brushed. Their teeth ain't brushed. We send them in the bathroom. We never check and say, did you do that right? And then we ask them why they bummy. They bummy because we bummy. And that's the tragedy. The tragedy is that we become the tragic element in their life. And then because they become isolated from society, because they don't fit into the normal culture of take care of yourself, look good, smell good, take care of your home, take care of your family, then they become isolated. Personal distress kicks in, and then we call it psychological disorder. But they're really just isolated and available for the devil to do his job.
Look, let me tell you what Eric Brockman said. Amen. 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 Thank you, Eric and Derica and Ron, for joining us tonight. Make sure y'all share and comment. We want to hear your thoughts tonight as well, because we all need healing. Like you said, we're all in that state. Everybody has experienced some type of loss, whether it's a job, whether, it's a family member. For those who've gone through divorce, just kind of putting it out there. When I went through divorce with the kids, like we went through classes, and they have classes for the children to let you know, like, it's not your fault. But you don't even think about the number of people who just go through divorce. Their children go through this. You go through this. It's like you said, the tragedy, and they are left with the trauma because no one gets counseling, no one gets help. You don't think your kids need counseling. You think they're okay. They look okay. They seem okay. But I've continued to have mine in some type of counseling, the school counselor, Kenny Creek, somewhere. Even if it was just writing out, like you said, your children tell you about yourself. Oh, mine have. I told them respectfully. So how about you write it in a letter to me? That way my reflex, my reflex won't like, my reflex won't get there, right? But write it in a letter. I'm gonna go read it, and then we're gonna talk about it, right? And so that was one of the ways, because that's how I felt sometimes as a child. It's like, I don't get to say anything. I don't really get to say how I feel. And how do you say it without getting popped, because you're seen as being disrespectful. And so I gave my children an outlet to write it out. That way you're not speaking it. You get to write your feelings out. I can read it, digest it, take it in, get my feelings together, because parents, we be in our feelings. Okay. Our feelings get hurt, and our kids do hurt our feelings. Let's be real. And so then that way you can go back and discuss it. But that is so important. Like you were saying, that they said that going through divorce is a loss. It is literally like losing someone in death. And people, I'm telling myself, had gone through it more than once. And if you have not gotten counseling or sought some type of therapy or something, whether it's, spiritual, your pastor, your minister, a therapist, you experienced a loss and you
Yeah.
didn't deal with it. You thought signing that paper and the ink drying was it, and you happy and you had, the party. But that is something that is high, right? We have the divorce rate is very high. So when you said that, the trauma, that's what a lot of people are walking around with. They think it's just losing somebody.
But you
And
just
so,
look.
you
I'm
know,
I'm gonna be transparent. I'm married now, and I told my wife, and she might be listening. I don't care because I'm healing. Um, I loved her, but I married her because I didn't want to be alone.
mm,
I was so broken because I was coming out of one divorce and I
mm,
got in another relationship, and I was so afraid to be alone and to sleep in a bed alone. And having been with this woman and being with that woman, and it all goes back to my mother. So my mother had my brother in 72, me in 77, a stillborn girl in 78, and then a set of twins in 79. So you tell me in that time period where I had the closeness with my mother, I wasn't breastfed. So all babies, all they want is to be close. So she said I cried a lot, I wanted a lot of attention, I didn't sleep. So she wasn't doing anything wrong because they told her, you don't pick your child up when you're pregnant. I know you got a baby, but that baby can't be picked up because that will cause you to lose the other child. So she even said to me, I think I lost my daughter because I picked you up because you kept crying. So I became the problem. So growing up, I couldn't stand my mother. I ran away from home, did not understand that watching her hold my twin brother and sister on her hips, and I'm not being picked up because you only got two arms. I began to become resentful towards her. And the closeness I should have had as a baby, because that's what babies want, is to be up under their mother and to have that bonding moment. I looked to my dad and didn't like my mom. So all I did since I became maybe 11, 12 years old and had my first sexual experience was chase the touch of a woman because I wanted the touch of my mom. And a lot of us are afraid to just say that and be open and honest about it, that you're in a relationship. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect. That doesn't mean that you got to fake like everything's good. No, we have to deal with this because if I don't, then I'm going to be talking to somebody on the phone when you go to bed or when you're at work. I'm going to be cheating because there's still some yearning in me to heal. We
mm,
all have it. So we might as well put it on the table. And that's where the family meetings come in. Hey, I'm going to tell you how you doing as a child. You suck at it. And you can tell me honestly in a respectful way. Don't cuss at me. Don't disrespect me.
right.
Put your phones away. Let's talk about it. But that's the problem. We don't know how to talk anymore. And what you said is so true. Anything that causes a change in the way we did it, even in the way we see ourselves, is a loss
Wow.
because we have to accept the new reality. So how do you come to accept the new reality without being honest about the current reality? Because your future is contingent upon your past and your present is contingent upon your past. So your future meets you in that present moment, which means you got to look at your past. If not, it's just going to keep circling.
That is that part right there. You said even your new self, anything different. And well, Tori, like she's my, we both were nodding our heads, like probably about to shake it over. We like, yeah, yeah. Because that when you're going through that transformation, we hold each other accountable in our growth process, right? And so that healing and growing is continuous. And it's almost like, oh my goodness, like I'm in this new space and you start hyperventilating. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, so I left that behind. We're here now. And those feelings that you're having is just that, is the loss of who you used to be. That,
Yep.
as Eric said, is profound. So with all of these different ways that we experience loss and trauma, are there then levels to healing? Like, are there, people say, is levels to this? Is it levels to healing? And if so, like, what are those levels?
So the research shows that there's no such thing as a level to healing, right? Because what your experience may be and my experience may be completely different. What happens is we have to come to acceptance because that's really the last stage. And there's no like you go through this, then you go through that, then you go through anger. Because some people skip phases, some people get stuck in a phase. There's this denial phase where like you go into denial. I talk about in chapter 4 of my book a young lady who I've known several, and they talk about, girl, I can't believe if he don't want me, he should stop calling me. Why is that his choice? If he don't want to be with me, he should stop coming to have sex with me. Why is that his choice? If he don't want me, why he keep calling me? He can call you every day. You don't want to own the responsibility that you shouldn't answer the phone. So the biggest problem is we don't want to come to accept the responsibility of our choice on the other side. You cannot control another human being. I don't care if your man is a dog. He can do what he wants, how he wants, and you have a responsibility to respond. So when he says, yeah, I do what I want, you can. You're an adult. But when you do it, just know there will be a consequence. Doesn't mean I'm a pop, because a lot of women think if they pop that man, he gonna be in check. Like, no, he's gonna take the pop and he's gonna go call the next chick. And there's this like reality check that we all need. That acceptance means I am okay with relationships, all of them. Now I'm not just talking about intimate friendships, as you just described. Accountability is the hardest thing for everybody, because to account, by definition, means to take a check of all dollars, all numbers, everything. Means that I'm going to be your friend so well that when you sound stupid, I'm going to say, girl, that wasn't even funny. Like, if I even let you repeat that again, you setting yourself up for failure. Girl, you drinking a lot. Like, hey, it's one thing for us to drink, but I'm starting to notice you drink. Girl, I notice you not cleaning up. I notice your kids are looking a little trifling. They're going to be mad at you. But the beautiful thing is they come back to you later in a new space, acknowledging the truth. But if you let them keep falling and failing, babies learn how to fall. They like, you know what? Every time I fall, if I fall on my face, I bleed, my face hurts. But if I fall on this soft floor paper, then, hey, maybe I need to learn how to fall on my butt. And that's where we all need to learn how to fall, because falling is not failing. But we think that if we just lay there like it's a hammock, instead of hitting a trampoline, we never get up and move forward. So in closing, in that statement, I think the biggest problem we have is we cannot accept in relationships that every relationship is a new revelation. So God wants to take you to level 9, but you're struggling at level 8. So you meet somebody and they point out where your struggle is. You don't like people. Your mother sent you to your room when you were punished as a child and said, go sit down and don't say a word and don't come out your room. I don't want to see no video game. She take the TV. There's no book. There's nothing allowed for you. So what do? You ruminate on your thoughts, and you do that for 15, 16 years. And you quietly don't tell people that you was punished till you was 18, and you sat in your room quietly. Now you're in a relationship and have a disagreement with your mate. What you think you're going to do? You're going to go to your room and sit quietly. And they say, babe, let's talk about it. I don't want to talk. You always want to talk about something. The problem is that the revelation, the self-revelation that comes from relationships is where you need growth. So how are you going to grow if you can't relate to people at work? You can't relate to people at home. You can't relate to yourself. You can't even find yourself loving yourself because you feel guilty. You know, I love loving on people. No, stupid. You really don't. You really like try to cover up for the fact that you don't want to deal with your own stuff. So you chase after people's problems to look like you're doing something. But here's my final statement, because I get all riled up with this.
No, this is good. Keep going. Keep going.
The point that I'm making is God says, since we brought in God earlier, Genesis 2:15, he says that all the things that he created, he wants us to take care of them. Mm-hmm. But we forget that we created. We forget that we are a creation too. So we stop taking care of self, and we take the idea that we got to take care of his creations and chase after everybody else. Well, imagine showing up at a farmer's market and a farmer is sitting there with an empty cart. Like, what are you doing here? Oh, man, I want to be at the farmer's market. I heard y'all was selling food and y'all had crops. But what are you doing here? You have nothing to offer. And that's many of us. We haven't planted any seeds. We haven't grown anything, but we going around trying to feed everybody. You are feeding people with an empty field, and you wonder why it hurts so bad when you are returning nothing when you go back home. You're going home empty, which was already empty, and you feel like you were present, but you really weren't there. We used to go swimming all the time. Druid Hill, East Point, Eastern Avenue was at Patterson Park. Mm-hmm. And I cut my foot one time, like 18, 19. and I swim. So I cut my foot on a diving board, and I went to the pool, and I sat there, and I'm like, why am I here? I'm at the pool, but I can't immerse myself in the experience.
Wow.
I'm laughing with everybody, but I'm really not laughing because they wet and laughing. I'm sitting there hot as hell with a shirt on, trying to figure out why I can't swim because the doctor said, let the wound heal.
Let it
Sometimes the
heal.
wound needs to heal, and you got to stop running around trying to be everywhere and everything so that you don't sit there and be present, but you really are only physically there, but you're not mentally present. So
And
you
so
go
let
home
me
and don't
stop you
remember
for a
what
second.
happened.
Let me stop you for a second.
We're gonna tell
Because
them put their offering at bcg.manage.
Yes.
listen, you know,
Put the
my brain
offerings.
starts thinking like we need a healing conference. You know, I always want to have a conference, but
Me too.
I wanted to stop you for a second because you're hitting on so many good points. I also want to remind everyone to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go over to the Connected Corner. Please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, all of that good stuff. But let's go back to this analogy that you're giving us because it is so in tune to where what we're trying to debunk, right? We hear people all the time. Well, I've been single for 2 years. I've been single for 4 years. I've been celibate for 17 years. Matter of fact, I was celibate when Moses was a child. You know, you hear all of these timelines, right? Being placed on certain things. And I always tell people, you can't quantify growth that way. So you were celibate for 5 years, but you ain't done nothing to work on you. You like you said, you don't like people, you've isolated yourself, you've put on 40 pounds, you don't even feel that you present yourself your best self. So what? Your oven is just cold. That doesn't mean that that thing is prepared to cook when it is time for the feast. It doesn't mean that. So help us debunk this idea of time when it comes to healing. So a physical wound, let that foot heal. We know there's going to take some time, but just because it's no longer bleeding doesn't mean it's not tender.
Okay,
Right?
now see, you're in the 5 stages of healing in the physical sense, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
first stage is your mind automatically acknowledges that something happened. So by the time you actually say ouch, it's the past. By the time you say ouch, it's the past. Because it happened so quickly that you think it was instantaneous, but it had to happen. Then your mind triggers something, the synapses. The receptors say, God damn it. And then you scream, ouch. It's the past. It already happened. So your body automatically says something ain't right. It starts sending all its soldiers to now start to prepare by cleaning the area first. It starts getting rid of all the things that shouldn't be there. Then it begins to cover it over. So just in an analogous way, we got to sometimes get rid of the people that are toxic after they cut us. We got to clean ourselves of the nonsense because if we keep them around, the wound will never heal over. So now we have collagen forming.
I almost jumped up and ran around. I'm about to turn my camera off a second.
You know the toxic people.
I did like this. It was like, oh, wait.
So now that the collagen is forming, it wants to form what's called a mesh. Well, in order for that mesh to form, you got to be eating right. You got to be in good shape. You got to be drinking enough water because all of that is a 360-degree circle. As 1 Corinthians 12 says, we all part of the same body. So if you want to take care of this body, then I need to take care of the foot part, the hand part, the arm part, because once I start losing parts, then now my mind, you ever heard of ghost pain? People that have lost body parts, they think that it's still there because the mind doesn't care what it sees. The mind only knows the experience that it remembers. So you can tell yourself any story, girl, I'm the baddest bitch. Okay, you keep saying that, but nobody else thinks you are. And that's the problem. The reality does not coincide with the truth.
Wait. I needed to unmute so they can understand the noise that we are making. My son just came in here and said, you all right? Woo! Listen, we're going to take a 20-second or a 2-second, the Connected Corner. Woo! On that one. Okay.
Okay.
Did
y'all see me? I said, oh no, we live. I was about to get up.
Me too. I started shouting in my head. Woo!
I said, oh look, wow, I had nowhere to go.
You can't give it to him like that, Doc. We really gonna have to have a conference and the cash app.
I don't have my collar on right now. My collar's sitting over there.
Listen, collarbone, okay? Because this thing is hard and real. It might
I'm
be
telling
tight,
you,
but
I
it's
know
right.
y'all know somebody who need this. I'm telling you, people, you better get your
So
folk on
the
here.
last two stages that my sister Tori just described was that it looks like the skin is healed over, but sometimes it's just the body's way of saying, all right, we still got work to do. And what often happens is you will keep playing at it and you'll keep picking at it, but there's always a reminder that there was a wound there. That's called a scar. And it's such soft tissue there, such an emotional space there. You remember you thought you were healed because he wasn't no good. And girl, I'm done with him. And I wish he would come. I wish I see that whore somewhere. She ain't no good. And then you see her with somebody else. Matthew chapter 5, Jesus says that a man who divorces his wife makes her an adulterer, not because of the legal sense, but you still love her. So to see her with another dude, you ain't healed. So now you want to bust his head, go slash her car tires. You want to do everything because you said you was done. But the wound looked like it was healed over, but it was just the first layer. It could be years underneath that skin that's still repairing. Based on your health, based on your physical and mental preparedness to heal, it could be years. So you look like you've been doing the work. But when we see you in your next relationship, the same way you got used and abused before, the same way you made excuses before, we can tell you ain't healed. And that's where the problem comes in, is that we like to say one thing and there's no evidence of what we say. We like to have parties about, girl, like, where's the evidence? I'm an evidence-based believer. Like, you could tell me all day. I told my son today, please stop calling me, asking me to pray for you. Pray for yourself. We got to stop this asking people to do for us what we're unable or unwilling to do for ourselves. Because how can you see it before you see it? You got to envision it happening before it comes to pass. So the healing part that Tori just described is that we often find ourselves in this place and space where we think time is the solution and it suffices for the work. If I lock my vagina down, I was about to. If I put my penis in some type of like protected space,
put a chastity belt on.
If I put a chastity belt on, then I am healed. No, you just ain't had sex. Right. Because the truth be told, when the thing that you say that you have recovered from shows up again, that's the real test. Absolutely. You just ain't been around the crack, Pookie. So now that you working in New Jack City, and we realize that you really ain't recovered, and you start to scratching again, you realize that all that talk you had sitting in therapy and meetings, and yeah, I done did the 12 steps. Well, you might want to do them again and again and again, because unfortunately, the healing part goes deeper into most of us are codependent.
Yeah, oh my goodness, when people will talk about that, like I'm working on myself, or the celibacy. I mean, honestly, let's be real about why are you celibate, right? So a lot of times it's because you're not going out, you're not going to meet anybody, you secluded yourself, right? You became a hermit, you're not going out meeting anybody. So that's really why.
Yeah, I didn't go out and do anything for years because I knew if I did, I was going to have sex with a woman. Okay. I was going to cheat. So I knew what I needed to do and why. And that's where people are afraid to say, I'm a slut. I'm easy. I miss my father. I wish I had one. I wish I had the opportunity for a man to tell me no. I wish I had a man to sit me down and make me learn what it is to be respected. So if I get around a man and a feeling arises in me that he makes me feel like he's a protector, he's a provider, or there's some opportunity for me to do more for him than he could do for me, and I can woo him into being the man I want him to be, then I'm going to give him some. Mm-hmm. So I got to lock it down. I got to stay in the house because I am not healed. I can't be around other people and not do what I used to do, which was damaging to me, which means there's no healing.
Be true to yourself. And people say that all the time. I mean, if you know me, you know I'm real about who I am. And I used to say this, and my cousin finally we came to an agreement of this term that I said, and I said marriage was a safeguard for me. And I'm going to put it out there in real life. Those closest to me know that I've said that many times. And so that's how I felt. I know why I said that. Being married was a safeguard for me.
You can have sex and be free.
Yeah. So that, I am true to that. I'm true to myself with that. And I'm honest with it. And I understand that, because he and I have had that conversation too. Right. And so I understood what it was. And people are just not real with themselves. Be real of who you are and what it is.
We're going to have to do a whole nother show about the prophetess. But I ain't going to talk about that right now.
Yeah. So are there ramifications? I mean, we know that, people, mental illness and all of that is real. Or is that the only ramifications to people not doing the adequate work? Because they think if they isolate themselves, if I just don't talk to nobody, if I wait 5 years and then get married again, but you realize you're still on the same cycle. Okay. What is that? It's you haven't really done the work. So what are the ramifications of that?
Well, unfortunately, what happens is it goes back to what I said about historical trauma. So historical trauma in the African-American community goes back, I mean, you're talking millennia. It was about 1500s when white people walked in, actually didn't walk in, they came in on a boat around the Victorian Falls into the Congo. And the Mani Congo, who had such an expansive territory from one side of Africa to the other side of Africa, it was too large for him to manage truly as a king. So they saw these white people and they heard stories about white people, but they'd never seen any. It was an all black country. And they began to little by little sneak people off the land. And from that, they began to take 5 to 8 million to the Caribbean and South America. And then they brought only 440,000 to America. So the point that I'm getting to is why they take 5 to 8 million to the Caribbean, because it was such a short trip. If you know that you can keep going back to the store to buy more food, you will just gorge on it and do what you got to do to eat and be ridiculous. But if you got to take a long trip, you're going to make it stretch. You're going to tell your kids, don't be mixing cereal. You don't be mixing cereal. It's still one bowl. Don't be mixing. My father used to get mad. You don't mix no cereals. Mathematically, it's still the same cereal. It's a bowl. It's a half and half. You don't mix cereal, son. It's too hard. Because we would go to Fort Meade to get food. He was in the military, like your dad. So we had this conversation. I began to realize the connection to our trauma. In America, it's too far for them to go back to Africa. So what did they do? They, instead of beating us and killing us, they began to rape our minds. They played games with our minds, because if I kill you, now my crops are going to come up shorter. So that mental distress that we went through of not trusting each other, of hating each other, of running from family, of expecting men to cheat, of expecting ourselves to be mistreated, of hiding our children's flaws. Oh, girl, how your child doing? Girl, he ain't no good. He trifling. Yeah, because if we would have said that to master, it would have protected our son from being snatched up. Oh, how's your daughter doing? She looking good. Her vagina don't work, girl. Her. Every time I see her, she ain't doing nothing, because master would have took her and had a baby with her or raped her or whatever. So we still do that. Girl, how your kids? Girl, that knucklehead ain't doing nothing. He just came home. Like, we don't even know how to say, my kids are great. They're doing very well. We don't know how to brag on each other because we're so afraid. So we keep passing down that fear from our parents to each other, from each other to our kids. I wasn't allowed to talk. Don't you dare say nothing. My mother said to me the whole time growing up, my dad actually had me read a book, and I told him, you're a liar. It said, I'm not supposed to be your friend. I'm your parent. And I said, so why do y'all keep making us go to church and sing this song called What a Friend We Have in Jesus? I thought that being a friend means you tell me the truth. You help rebuke and correct me. Jesus Christ came back with his wounds when he went and met with the disciples. His wounds were a badge of honor. He didn't try to hide his wounds. He showed that he went through something for God on God's behalf, and he was a soldier in the army. We try to act like everything's perfect, never accepting the reality of who we are and what we've been through, which has helped us get to level 9. Woo. It's the hell I went through that helped me get to that next level, because walking through hell taught me how to take the heat. But you don't like the heat. And that's why you're mad over on level 4, and you keep saying, girl, my business taking off. Well, no, baby, you're just speeding down a runway. Your plane has never left ground. You close a little portal and you feel it speeding, but you have never felt that uncomfortable nature of your plane coming off of the safety of ground.
That's
so
good.
You keep bragging about what you want, but you've never done the work to get it. Nobody wants to stop. Nobody wants to do a podcast because it's too much work. Look at all the graphics, how much time you have to send. The freaking email you send is like 2 pages long. Half the people probably don't read it. You got the emails, you telling me to market, you got me doing this, doing that. But that's what you have to do to be successful.
Most certainly.
Nobody wants to do all the work. I work with so many businesses. I'm trying to get a house in Baltimore. I know they got grants for that. No, they don't. Your business is trash. I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing that I can see here that says that anybody's going to fund you. But I heard they giving out. Well, sis, I'm trying to tell you, they're not.
They're not just giving it out.
They just so why is everybody not doing it then?
Your paperwork need to be in order.
It's bigger than just the talk.
Right.
So to your point, we are passing down that idea of it's easy. So because we think it looks easy, and people say to me, yeah, because you doing so-and-so. Bro, do you know that I had to stop hanging with my friends because I was working full-time? I had 2 kids in my 20s. I worked full-time, went to school full-time, and I worked at the Haven Lounge at night because my ex-wife had to be home with the kids. By the time she worked, who's going to pay 2 daycare payments? Her whole check would have went to daycare. So I had to take a sacrifice. I didn't sleep. You think what you see today. My brothers and sisters teased and laughed at 11th and 12th grade because I ran away from home. I didn't have showers some days. I didn't go to school because I had 1 pair of underwear. I would wear my girlfriend's drawers. I would stink. I had 1 outfit. So you don't know where I'm coming from. So when you pull up and see what I have today, it's not me, as Paul says. It's by the grace of God that he's allowed me to go through that hell to get to where I'm at. So don't bring your generational curses, as my sister just said. Don't bring your generational curses to my doorstep saying that it looked easy for you, so it should be easy for me. It's a generational curse because your parents told you that you could just get it the easy way. All this comes with a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, and a lot of isolation because people don't want to hear the truth.
Listen, we want to give a shout out, as you did, to Beltine Bell Isaac. Thank you so much for checking in, and thank you so much for your comment. You're right on it. Whew, Corey, you said so much. First of all, again, you definitely will be invited back because we feel a part 2 simmering in the spirit. Okay, I'm a history buff, history major, and an educator. I teach history. Well, I was teaching history before COVID. Anyway, I digress. When you talked about the slaves, you really triggered a thought in my mind because not only was the distance and the time element huge, and you laid that out for us in a way that a 2-year-old could understand, but it was also environment, right? And so the mindset of I'm healing, I'm good, but every time you show up in a relationship, you just are in the same environment, right? So Europeans understood that the Caribbean had the same type of weather as Africa, right? And so the mindset was we can shift that environment for this environment. And I feel that people do that in their own relationships, right? And it's like, well, this is almost the same dude. You keep dating the same person, just got a different name. And sometimes the names might all be similar. David.
But they all begin with a D.
Listen, that's what I said. David, Damon, Deron, Derek. It's like
all Aquarius. No, let me stop.
The research actually shows you have a higher probability of marrying somebody with your last name or your family last name. The research actually shows that because
I did my second time. Actually, my grandmother, my grandparents did it.
Because you're so in love with because we're so in love with ourselves that we want to marry somebody. And that's to Tori's point. We keep dealing with the same thing because we're really not healed from it. It keeps coming around full circle.
Let me segue it into something that I know Kiana and I both have experienced. It is the dating the narcissist. So help anybody who's listening, male, female. You guys will hear it first from me. I'm not normally this, transparent with my personal business, but about a year or so ago, I feel like I went against what God told me to do. And I dated a Capricorn. And the Capricorn was an extreme narcissist. Okay. And so I struggled after that. So talk a little bit about some tips and things. How do we heal after that relationship? And if we keep attracting the narcissist, is it really us? Is it a reflection of us? Break that down for us.
All right. So you just put it out there, right? So I'm an Aries, type A personality. You don't get to a certain level of, I'm not even gonna say success. I'm gonna say success because I fell a lot and I kept getting back up. Forget about what I may have material wise. My son is in England. He's on a full scholarship. Yeah, I'm paying rent. But I'm blessing him so that he can then bless the next generation. And what you just described is as someone who has narcissist traits. I don't know if I'm fully a narcissist, but some of the pain that I've experienced, I became numb to other people's emotions. And the game that we play as people who want and desire to be in control, the only time we want to be controlled is in the bedroom. But those who want to be in control, yeah, because if you boss people around all day, that's the one time you can really say, go bark like a dog. All right, oh, go crawl over there. Okay, mommy. Like, you really, I'm not going to go into the sickness of that. But to your point of the narcissism, the game we play, I manufacture an argument with you to break up with you, not because I don't want to be with you. I want to see how far you go. I basically get you to do things that I know you really don't want to do because I'm trying to break you down and wear you down. I'm trying to get you to a place where I can then say, I used to say to my ex-wife, I'm sorry if you hear this. I used to say, I can't believe you didn't vacuum. There are no lines. I work hard. I do this. I do that for you. And the next day, it'd be lines in the carpet. It's like we knew the game to play. I would meet chicks in Baltimore. I'm a handsome guy and the most handsome. But what I would do is I'd first get them away from their girlfriends. That's the first trick. You don't bring up the boyfriend. If I'm trying to sell you a BMW, I'm not going to talk about the car you just pulled in here with. So I don't know if it's yours or not. I'm never going to mention it. I'm going to just sell you what I'm trying to sell you. The second thing, I'm going to hit you with the, hey, shorty, when I call you, what do I say? Like, do I say hi to Niecy or Nancy? Like, what's your mom's name? Oh, my mom name, I got you. So then I say, well, how many brothers you got? Oh, no, it's just me and my mother. Oh, hell yes. Thank you. Got you. Now, like, it's the game that we play to manipulate, to get what we want, to get a woman to play games with us. And she not being secure enough to say, yo, I'm not doing that. No, it's not okay. So once you start laughing and going along with things, it becomes the game, the manipulation game, the argument that really we not even mad. We just want to be alone. Instead of saying, babe, I really don't feel like hanging out. I just want to chill. That's okay. But it's also the fear that I've always cheated and been a bad guy, that now I got to manufacture something with you because I don't want you to think I'm about to cheat again. So I am creating in you disruption inside of you because you're thinking it's you. When the truth be told, it's me the whole time, which it goes to, as we kind of winding down here in the hour, as we get to this place where the reality check for all of us is healing is not an external event. It is an internal event that you must do with yourself and yourself alone. You can look at your relationships. You can look at everybody. My sister called me once, and every time she called, my husband, Tom, and I said, stop. I'm not listening to that. What did you do? What about you? He keeps saying that, he can't say nothing to the kids. Well, maybe 10 years ago, when he tried to say something, you became the mother bear and you went off on him. So now you mad because he's taking a step back. He like, oh, you want to do it all, then do it all. You can't just look at the other person. Every last one of us has a responsibility to see what our aspect of it was. It doesn't even mean you did something bad. And that's the other sad part, that much of our trauma is that all we think is I did something bad. And to Tori's point of the narcissist, this is what really it leads to from our perspective as the man playing games with women. It leads to, we know y'all have abandonment issues. So because we know you struggle letting things go, we will play games because you'll keep taking us back. If you meet a person who has abandonment issues, this is what it looks like. They buy a lot of stuff they don't need. Their house is like a hoarder's house. They got a garage or a closet that's ridiculous. They got tags on their clothes. They will let people treat them any way that they want to be treated, and they will go off on them, but never to the point of letting the relationship, friendship, or love, family relationship go, because the idea of losing another thing will kill them. So I hold on to everything, even though it's not healthy for me. I will collect people. I will collect friendships, relationships, material possessions. I will buy things from the thrift store. I will buy crap. I will buy trash, because at least I can control when those things leave. But relationships, every time I get in a relationship, he treats me bad. No, sis, you allow yourself to be mistreated because you feel like this is your last chance. Unfortunately, the data shows that there are more women, especially as you ladies see and show, that have college educations. I got my doctorate. It was only 3 guys in the whole program. The higher you go in the financial echelon, is more women, that's business owners, that's grinding, that have what they need. And the reality is, as a Black woman, you guys struggle because the last data I saw in 2005, 2010 showed that Black women are actually worth -$5. Because by the time you got a mortgage, a car payment, all the stuff that you got, that $100,000 you got in your 401k, but your house $400,000, your hair dues, and all the student loans you have, when you add it all up, our parents never passed on wealth to us. So you're trying to recreate an environment for your children to build something. And the sad part is, much of what you're building is on paper. So until you establish that you don't need that Negro, then you will keep putting yourself through a cycle of moving in and out of different spaces, never being stable enough for the seed to truly grow and to sprout through the ground. So you will keep shifting and moving about. And as the Israelites did, it looked like they were moving about in chaos. They looked like they were schizophrenic, because every time Moses told them move, they were actually moving because he looked up. He saw the fiery cloud, the theophany. Most of us are moving about without looking up. We just running around. So we don't even know what we following. We just following the footsteps of people. Well, I promise you, if you follow their footsteps and they step in shit, you will too. And that's why we struggle.
So we don't have a collection plate to pass around. However, we will take offerings at the Church of the Connected Corner, where you get news and resources, scripture, Bible verses, therapy, healing, okay, counseling, education, history lessons, all of that. Okay, we giving y'all here at the Connected Corner. I just was like, I was in class. I forgot that we was hosting. Like, this was so good. Tori just stuck right now. I'm gonna let her get herself together. She just stuck right now. But this was so good. And yes, we have to do like an encore or something, like part 2, like end it with part 2, something. Like, I just this was just really good. And I will agree with my cousin this time. She dukes me into these conferences and things, but it's because it's such good information. Don't do that. Because you trying to get me, let better try and get me. Everybody's trying to get me to do this thing. But we got to do something. This was just so good, point, and it's so needed right now, you know?
What I was thinking about doing was, because I keep getting a lot of calls, texts, and messages, but I'm very busy. And I do work for the federal government too. Mm-hmm. And
brother, me too, brother.
Okay, look,
I'm trying to get on. I'm trying to get put on though. I'm trying to get put on.
I'm waiting for my background check because I'll be a director of communications at the Treasury, and it's been since January they offered the job. So what God is teaching me in this season is patience. When you have to sit still, knowing that something's on the way, and what you just described, Tori, I'm trying to relate this to the relationship and the healing. When you know that healing's on the way and you have to sit still and watch everything around you move forward while you have to be still, it forces you to want to rush out and do your own thing.
Oh, God.
But in this season, we all need, because this is the year of 6, the year of man, 2022, 2 + 0 + 2 plus 2 equals 6. This is the year of man. God saying, I've done everything to get y'all here. Next year is a year of rest. So if you're going to do the work, you got to own it. You got to be responsible for the consequences of it. You got to be responsible for the choices you make before the consequence comes. So in conclusion, I think the only way we get here is an acknowledgement of self, an acceptance of where we've been, how we got here. And sometimes that requires us to talk about and get a little dirty with the people. Not saying you got to go to them, but if grandma was trifling, there's nothing wrong with saying grandma was trifling. If your house always smelled like fried chicken or grease, you know, when you went in the hood houses, it's like their clothes smell like grease. It's like y'all fry everything. If that's the reality that you grew up in, what's wrong with saying that? Because if you worshiped the person that you're about to talk about, you will not tell the truth about them because you feel like you are then attacking them. No, I'm attacking what I learned. Because if I take what you did and try to use that as a solution, my parents said to me, we already dealt with that. Me and your father, we had a disagreement, but we dealt with it. I said, y'all had the argument in front of us. But then y'all dealt with it in private. Y'all got it in real good. Then the next day he come home from work, smack you in the butt. What's for dinner, Burn? And I'm like, last night y'all was in here fighting and arguing. Where was the makeup? Y'all learned how to make. We talked about it. But what about us? We have learned that the reality is, because myself and my brothers all married women with a tumultuous relationship because we were trying to heal our relationship with our mother.
My God. Listen. Woo, child. So we keep saying into close, right? Into close. This is our show. We close when the heck we want to close. If y'all got somewhere to go,
y'all don't leave. Lord, it's like, wait a minute. I was going to say, I forgot. We haven't been in the classroom in over a year. It's like, the bell don't dismiss you. I dismissed you.
I dismiss you. The bell don't dismiss you. I dismiss you. And so listen, Lauren London said something, and I was watching some of the clips of one of her recent interviews, and she said, y'all have to remember life will happen to all of us. She said, and so instead of getting caught up, I've learned to roll with the river and not fight with the rocks. And that blessed me so much. Listen, this has been an amazing, awesome time spent with you. We know we need more of these opportunities. I will also say to you, from the vantage point that I have of over 15 years in the federal government, leaving, coming back, things like that. Not only is it about God perfecting our posture, and I posted it on my Instagram about our posture, it is about him cleaning house. So when we walk in, the path has already been paved. We never know what is on the other side of that environment. It does not normally take that long. And when things start coming against physics and logical timelines, and you have to understand it is a spiritual reason why you are being delayed. And I sit at a vantage point where I see across the federal sector, just keep on holding. Don't rush, not a day, not an hour before you need to get there, because when you do get there, it's going to be a divine timing, a perfect place. It is going to be a prepared place. It is going to be on your stipulations and your timelines, because there are some things coming down the pipe that will increase the quality of life you have as an employee in that agency. And so I understand now the importance of divine timing. And so I'm going to share that with both of you guys, because it does not take that long.
I received that. I know you was kind of talking.
Oh, no. I receive all
that.
of it.
Yeah, I received it all. That too.
If I could just say this to you, for your guests and anyone who watches this, you can read the introduction of the book on Amazon. And I promise you, what you'll discover in that is a story that I tell about myself really having a dream and running around this wilderness trying to save everybody, and realizing that I'm watching all these people float by, and I have to be comfortable watching them float by for me to go help as many people. I cannot keep jumping in saving everybody because I'm exhausting myself. I'm not eating, sleeping, and taking care of myself. So I get to this inflection point at the river, and I see this sign. And all this came to me writing the book. And the sign says, where you stand on this side is your present. On the other side is your future. To get there, you must wade through your past.
My
The
God.
more we keep putting in our trunk, or the more we keep ignoring, the deeper the waters are for us to try to get to the other side.
Mm.
And that's
Give us
why I
the
made
name of
it
the
like
book.
drowning.
Give us
Yeah,
the
we're
name
gonna
of the
put it
book
in the
again.
chat, in the
We
comments.
Ain't Healing.
Woo, I love it. And you said you can get it on Amazon?
On Amazon, and the introduction, I made it available for those to read so they know what they're getting themselves into.
Wonderful. And how can the guests or how can the viewers or anyone who is watching this on the replay, how can they connect with you? Give us your social media handles, please.
Social media, website is all the same. C as in Corey, J as in Jermaine, H as in Henderson, DRPH, Doctor of Public Health. CJH, DRPH. Everything's the same. .com, Instagram at CJHDRPH, and Facebook. Try to make it easy.
Awesome. It is easy. We are just so appreciative. You are now forever stuck with us in the Connected Corner. We also want to give a shout out to our big cousin. He's my cousin. I adopted him, but he's really Kiana's cousin. But my cousin's cousin is my cousin. Anywho,
Right,
Corey.
that's how we say we're cousins, because Corey is his cousin too. So
Oh, right. So Corey Johnson. Exactly. So it's one big happy family. We are family. Anyway, I digress. And so shout out to Corey Johnson, who's also been on the show. Corey made the recommendation. We love him. We trust and believe him. And as you saw, it wasn't like, who is this? It was like, hey, how you doing, cuz? Come on. We understood that Corey has an eye for quality, right? And of course, he did not let us down. So shout out to Corey. Thank you so much for the recommendation, guys. If you know someone that you want to see on the show, please email us with their information, or better yet, have them email us and tell us a little bit about what they do, their business, and things like that. The email address is bcg.manage@gmail.com. They may not come on the next show, but we would try our very best to get them on a show during a topic and season that makes sense for them. Again, that email address is bcg.manage@gmail.com. I am your girl, Tori Rose, the Connector. You can find me on social media at Tori Rose, the Connector. And Kiki, how can we find you?
You can find me on all social media at Kiana B. Jones. And this has been an amazing, amazing show. And we will let you guys know when we're doing part 2 with Dr. Henderson, because we need that. And we're going to let you know when the conference is coming.
Yes, most certainly, guys. Remember, self-care is healthcare. It is not selfish. If anybody tells you otherwise, get from around them. Go get yourself some French fries and do some reflection on that relationship, because that is a very selfish relationship. Self-care is healthcare. This has been another amazing Tuesday here at the Connected Corner. Check us out next week as we're talking about skincare and estheticians and why women and men alike need to be putting some money in the budget to get these things done. So come back next Tuesday, same time, same place, different face. I don't know, I was trying to rhyme. But anyway, it's been real, y'all.
Same place,
Good night.
Connected Corner. See y'all next week.
See y'all next week.
Hey.